So imagine you are just sitting there in front of your computer, right?
Okay.
And you are looking at this completely sterile, mathematically perfect digital file.
Just a file on a screen.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It is literally titled Sago _palms _L.E.D.M4A. It is just code.
Right.
Ones and zeros sitting on the sleek, glowing hard drive, perfectly formatted for, all the modern streaming algorithms.
Completely hyperdigital.
Yeah, but the moment you actually click play, what pours out of your speakers isn't sterile at all, or mathematical.
No, not even close.
It is dripping with the sweat, the grit, and just this heavy analog humidity of 1970s Texas blues.
It is a total contradiction. I mean, you are looking at this artifact of the hyperdigital age, but you are hearing a ghost from a smoky, wood-paneled past.
And that bizarre collision of eras is exactly what we are exploring for you today. Welcome to The Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Our mission today is to take you inside a highly unusual musical archive. We are talking about the 2025 album LED by the alternative garage rock band Sago Palms.
Released under Outsounding Entertainment.
Yes, exactly. And the paradox at the center of this whole project is really what makes it so compelling to dig into. Because, by all commercial definitions, this is a modern indie rock record.
Oh, absolutely.
It was recorded in 2018, then just locked away in a vault for 7 years, and finally released into the digital wilderness in 2025.
But the architecture of this album, it completely defies its modern release date.
Right.
Because it gives you these 10 tracks of just driving, alternative garage rock. The guitars are sharp, the production is really tight.
Very modern polish.
Yeah, but to actually understand the sonic DNA of what you are hearing, you have to look past that polish and examine the foundation.
You really do.
You have to look at the man who wrote every single lyric and composed every single song on the record, which is Paul Mack.
And, Paul Mack's backstory, it honestly feels like it belongs in a Southern Gothic documentary, not some 2025 indie rock press release.
No, it is wild.
Because he picked up his first guitar around, 1975?
Around 1975. He was about 12 years old, coming from a family where music was just, part of the atmosphere.
Right, like a brother on guitar, a sister on piano.
Exactly. Extended cousins playing around the house. But Mack becomes the successful outlier of the family.
And the trajectory he takes is just a masterclass in raw, on-the-ground musical education.
Because by the 1980s, he isn't learning to make beats on a laptop in a bedroom somewhere.
No, not at all.
He is physically embedding himself in Texas music history. Like, the archive notes that in 1987, in Austin, he secures his first sync placement.
And we should probably clarify what that actually means in the context of the 1980s.
Oh, definitely.
Because async placement today, right, that might mean getting your track on a viral TikTok or, a Netflix background scene.
Right, but for Mack in 87, this meant selling his original composition to act as the official theme song for a legendary, iconic Texas barbecue joint.
The county line.
Yes, the county line, which is incredibly localized and physical and tangible.
Yeah.
And his education just gets even heavier from there. The records show him playing lead guitar in a live blues band alongside Jimmy Carl Black.
Okay, wait. For anyone who isn't deep into the avant-garde rock scene, we need to pause on that.
It is a big deal.
Jimmy Carl Black was the original drummer for Frank Zappa's Mothers of Invention.
Yep.
He famously introduced himself on their records as the Indian of the group. And playing with a rhythm section built by Zappa's drummer means you aren't just playing standard 12-bar blues.
No, you are dealing with complex, unpredictable rhythms. It completely forces a guitarist to develop an incredibly agile, tough playing style.
And Mack takes that toughness to Houston, right? Where he starts tracking music at the home of the bass player from Moving Sidewalks.
I'm so glad you brought them up.
You have to. Moving Sidewalks is this foundational 1960s psychedelic blues band that eventually mutated into ZZ Top.
Exactly. They literally defined that thick, distorted Texas boogie rock sound.
And Mack is recording in that environment, writing songs on the very first night of the sessions, engineered by this mysterious figure known in the archives simply as Lyle.
Just Lyle. But think about that environment for a second. This is analog to its very core.
It is physical tape.
Yes, physical tape, glowing vacuum tubes in the amplifiers, the literal acoustics of a Houston living room.
It is all about friction. Physical instruments pushing physical air.
Right. And there is one data point in the archive that perfectly captures that physical friction, which is Mack's primary instrument.
Oh, this is fascinating.
Because he doesn't rely on synthetic plugins. He relies on a 1994 Martin acoustic guitar.
Mm.
And the provenance of this specific guitar is just wild.
It traces back to a place called Polly's Music.
Right.
And Polly's Music wasn't just some generic strip mall shop selling, plastic starter kits to kids.
No.
They were a verified, trusted supplier for massive, stadium-touring Southern rock titans like Leonard Skynyrd and Molly Hatchet.
The documentation even details that Mack's specific Martin was held in the office of a guy named Fred Ippoli's.
Just Fred. But the reason that physical object matters so much to the listener is because wood ages.
It does.
The resonance of a 1994 acoustic guitar that has lived through decades of Texas humidity and been played with that gritty blues technique, it carries a very specific sonic weight.
It provides the warmth.
It does. And it makes me think about how this band is actually constructed.
How do you mean?
Well, if you take the blueprints of a rugged 19th century timber cabin, right, which is Mack's analog songwriting,
Okay.
and you hand those blueprints to a modern architect, they might build the exact same layout, but they use brushed steel and concrete and floor-to-ceiling glass.
Oh, I see.
The bones are old and heavy, but the facade is sleek and new. So my question is, how does Sago Palms actually execute that translation?
Right.
How do they turn a 1994 Martin Acoustic Blues foundation into a 2018 alternative rock album?
Well, the translation happens through a very deliberate three-man division of labor.
Okay, let's break that down.
So first, Nate Sam acts as a crucial pillar. He provides guitar, keys, and extensive production work.
Got it.
Then you have Paul Mack, who, as we noted, is the architect. He is the sole songwriter, the lyricist, and he provides backing vocals.
Right.
But the most vital mechanism for translating this music to a modern audience is the third member, Brent Medina.
And this is the dynamic that is absolutely crucial for you to understand if you are diving into this album.
Yes.
Paul Mack writes every single word of this album. These are his deeply personal memories, his anxieties, his Texas history.
Every word.
Brent Medina is the main lead singer of Sago Palms. Also, handling guitar and production.
It changes the entire geometry of the record.
It really does, but I am struggling a bit to understand the artistic choice there.
Why is that?
Well, if you write a lyric that is intensely personal, drawn from your own lived experience, why would you hand it over to someone else to sing?
I mean, it is unconventional.
It feels like a seasoned film director writing a brutally autobiographical script, but purposely casting a completely different actor to play the lead role. Doesn't that risk losing the authenticity of the emotion?
You might think so, but it actually achieves the exact opposite.
Really?
Yeah, think about your analogy. If a director casts themselves, the film becomes a documentary about them. If they cast a great actor, the film becomes a story about all of us.
Oh, wow. That is a great way to look at it.
Medina's vocal delivery is the translation layer this project desperately needed. Because if Mack, with his ZZ Top and Zappa pedigree, sang every single track, the album would almost certainly sound like a retro blues revival.
Right? It would be a nostalgia act.
Exactly. It would sound tied to the 1980s. But Medina's voice is sharp, it's contemporary, and it is distinctly alternative.
So by having Medina step up as the main lead singer, Mack's 1970s Texas grit is instantly modernized.
Yes, Medina is the vessel that makes Mack's analog soul accessible and relevant to a digital audience. Medina gives it that modern garage rock edge that prevents the album from feeling dated.
So Medina is the bridge. That establishes the rule of the band.
Yes, the established rule.
But the archive reveals one glaring, absolutely fascinating exception to that rule.
Because
There's exactly one moment on the entire LED album where this carefully constructed formula is completely abandoned.
Crack 3. Why?
Right. It is a track that clocks in at exactly 3 minutes and 22 seconds. And on this specific song, Brent Medina steps back.
He does.
Paul Mack steps out of the backing vocal shadows and he takes over as the lead singer.
And the structural shift alone just demands attention.
Definitely.
Because when a band has an established frontman who handles the heavy lifting of modernizing the sound, and the veteran songwriter suddenly says, no, I have to take the mic for this one,
Yeah.
it means the material fundamentally rejected the translation process.
And the lyrics in Why show exactly why that happened. The imagery here isn't a broad, sweeping rock anthem.
No, not at all.
It is uncomfortably intimate. Mack sings, "Silence in the room, we're staring at the moon, we lost some time last night, try to break through."
It creates a highly claustrophobic cinematic atmosphere.
And then it moves into this incredibly grounded memory. "Last night the rain kept falling loud, we drove home without a sound, you said goodnight."
Yeah.
You can practically feel the tension inside that car.
Well, the physical sensation of the lyrics is what forces the vocal change.
How so?
Because later in the track, they park on a hill and the lead vocal delivers the line, then you get a chill.
Right.
But what is really vital is the backing vocal echoing it with a jarring, raw response.
Right.
It echoes, I got a fucking chill.
It is a visceral, involuntary reaction. And hearing that sung, I realize why Medina couldn't be the lead on this track.
What's that say?
Medina's voice is the modern polish that makes the band sound like a 2018 indie outfit. But why does it want polish? Why is about the heavy, unspoken weight of a silent car ride in the rain. It requires the worn-in, perhaps less polished, deeply weathered voice of the man who actually lived the memory.
Mack, taking the lead on Why, gives the listener the sound of the raw nerve sitting underneath the entire project.
Wow.
It is the analog core exposed for 3 minutes and 22 seconds.
It is the director stepping out from behind the camera because the scene is just too personal to direct someone else through.
And by exposing that raw nerve, Mack actually sets up the central thematic conflict of the entire album.
Let's follow that thread, because if Why is an exploration of intimate interpersonal anxiety, the rest of the LED track list kind of explodes outward into massive societal anxiety.
Well, absolutely.
And it all revolves around this collision between the physical world he grew up in and the digital world we are all drowning in now.
The critique of modern technology across the record is scathing. Like in the track I Wanted More, the lyrics aggressively target modern devices. Mack writes about noisy little boxes with buttons and lights.
Right.
He issues a direct warning that what the truth is will be lost in the night, before bluntly stating the information is false.
I have to push back on this a little bit, though.
Sure.
Because is noisy little boxes with buttons and lights a profound critique? Or is it just the classic trope of an older guy complaining that kids spend too much time on their smartphones?
I mean, that is a fair question.
Because it is easy to write off technology when you grew up repairing physical guitar amps.
Yeah.
Does this actually offer insight, or is it just nostalgia disguised as alternative rock?
I get why you'd ask that, but if you look at the track Lost in Line, it becomes clear he isn't just complaining about screen time.
Okay.
He is diagnosing an epistemological crisis. He asks the listener, do you like to watch the pictures? I like to see the news.
Oh, interesting. He is highlighting how entertainment and critical information have blurred into the exact same feed. And he laments that because of this, we'll always be flying blind.
Right, he even uses the phrase fog of war and I Wanted More.
Exactly. The fog of war isn't a complaint about kids on phones. It is a military term for the uncertainty and situational awareness experienced by participants in military operations.
Oh, wow.
So Mack is characterizing the modern digital feed, the endless scroll of curated algorithms, as an active conflict zone where truth is the first casualty.
That reframes it entirely for me. It is not a complaint. It is a warning from someone who remembers how to navigate using physical landmarks.
Yes.
So if the modern digital era is a fog of war, does the album offer a way out?
It does. The album operates as a survival guide, and the thesis for that survival is laid out clearly in the closing track, You'll Be All Right.
The resolution to all the anxiety.
Right. The lyrics offer a very direct antidote to the noisy little boxes. Mack writes about stepping away from the screens to stop dreaming about the stars while locked inside schools and cars.
The solution is tactile. It is physical. He tells the listener, it's a choice to live your life for love. You just need to see that Florida sunshine, and you'll be all right.
Feel the sun on your skin. Choose human connection over a digital feed.
Exactly.
It is the ultimate analog solution to a digital crisis. But here is where the narrative of Sago Palms achieves a brilliant, almost unbelievable level of meta-irony.
Oh, the timeline paradox.
Yes, the timeline paradox of how this album actually reached you. In the song No Solution, there is a lyric that feels totally prophetic. Time ticks by, but it's an illusion.
Yeah.
That lyric maps perfectly onto the literal physical reality of the LED album.
Because the music was fully recorded and finalized in 2018.
Yep.
But it didn't come out. It sat completely dormant in a vault for 7 years. It wasn't officially released until January 2, 2025.
And the behind-the-scenes architectural logs from the archive detail what it actually took to get this music released.
It is wild.
You have an album whose core message is a rebellion against digital noise. But you can't just hand out vinyl records on a street corner anymore.
No, you can't.
To get their analog message out, they had to fully submit to the digital machine.
They really did.
Yeah.
The logs from 2026 read like an IT manual. To overcome what they called initial technical blunders, Mack and the team had to execute a highly complex digital strategy.
Yeah.
Like in March 2026, they had to securely transmit the master compilation files. They had to learn the metadata requirements for M4A audio formats to ensure the streaming platforms didn't compress or destroy the warmth of that 1994 Martin acoustic guitar.
They are actively fighting the algorithms to preserve the analog sound.
Exactly. It required establishing serious production expertise.
Mhm.
And this battle culminated in April 2026 when they had to navigate the synchronization protocols to get their YouTube official artist channel verified.
And the visual assets they chose for that digital footprint are just fascinating.
And they are.
You look at their video archives and you see Brent Medina and Nate Sam featured centrally. But the aesthetic isn't dusty Texas blues.
Not at all.
The archives specifically note that they utilized hip-hop sonic visual foundations integrated with palm tree iconography and the modern outsounding entertainment logo.
They adopted the visual language of the modern digital-first era, hip-hop aesthetics, stark graphic branding,
Yeah.
but they used it to house a garage rock album built on 1960s psychedelic blues.
It is the ultimate Trojan horse.
It really is.
They despise the noisy little boxes, but they spent years mastering file transfer protocols, YouTube verifications, and digital visual branding just to get inside your phone.
Yeah.
They weaponized the digital tools of 2026 to ensure their 1980s analog soul survived permanently.
And it proves the album isn't just a nostalgic complaint. Sago Palms actively navigated the fog of war they were warning you about.
Which really brings us to the end of the journey we have taken today. We unsealed this digital archive, starting with the sleek M4A file of LED. We dug down into the heavy foundation of Paul Mack's Texas blues history, sweating it out in living rooms with the ghosts of ZZ Top and Frank Zappa.
We analyzed the brilliant structural mechanics of the band, how Brent Medina steps up as the main lead singer to translate Mack's gritty, lived-in lyrics into a sharp, universal garage rock voice.
We looked at the raw, vulnerable exception where Mack had to take the mic himself on the track. Why, proving that some memories are just too heavy to hand off to anyone else.
Yeah.
And we watched them fight the very digital age they were critiquing in order to release their music to the world.
Yeah. But the archive leaves us with one final piece of evidence to consider.
What is that?
After the album dropped, Sago Palms released a post-album single titled Dreams I Remember.
Right. And it acts as a sort of markalogue to everything we have discussed. The lyrics in the single pose a haunting question to the listener.
Did you?
How is it that we forgot all the things we used to know? And then it answers itself with a bold claim. Answers are inside. You knew what to do because they told you.
It suggests that there is a quiet, analog truth buried inside all of us, but it has been drowned out by the noise of the digital era.
And that leaves us with a final thought for you to carry with you today.
Yeah.
What if the music we create and the art we obsess over isn't just a vehicle for self-expression or entertainment?
Right.
What if it operates as a hidden mechanism, like a rescue flare shot up into the digital fog of war, designed specifically to remind our souls of the physical, tangible truths we have forgotten?
Wow.
What if that mathematically perfect, glowing M4A file was only ever built to deliver the warmth of an old, imperfect, vibrating wooden guitar?
That really frames every song you listen to as an act of preservation.
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Sago Palms archive. Do yourself a favor today, put down the noisy little box, go find some actual sunshine, and we will catch you next time.